Internal versus external. JavaScript can be used inside any web page, or it can be referenced from the page to an external .js file. We can do the same thing with JavaScript as we do a CSS. So we can have a CSS or JavaScript inside the page, or we can have the page referenced to CSS or JavaScript, which is in an external file. So let's look at some internal code first. To create JavaScript code inside any web page, you have two options with the same HTML element. You can put your JavaScript inside the head, and the code would look like so. Doc type, head, title, not important. You have your opening script, and you have your closing script tag. If you want your JavaScript to display anything in here, I would suggest not putting it in here. However, if you want something to load, for example, a function, then you would put it in your head. Alternatively, you can put your script tags inside the body. Preferably, if you put your script tag inside your body element, you should put your script tags at the end of your HTML, right before the closing body tag. For example, I could have my text in here, right? And here I have my opening, my closing, and my JavaScript. That's just a comment, don't worry what that is right now. But we have the actual JavaScript below the HTML. Why we do that is so that the HTML can load first, and then the JavaScript can load afterwards. If your JavaScript is trying to reference a certain element or a certain part of your web page, and the HTML for that hasn't been loaded, then your JavaScript is going to produce an error. Or alternatively, instead of producing an error, JavaScript will sometimes just break down and not do anything. And that's just as bad, if not worse, because it doesn't let you know that it's not working. We can also use external code. Now this, like CSS, is the preferred method unless you're using very page-specific code. If we want to consolidate all of our JavaScript and attach it to all of our pages, in the event that we need to change it and we don't want to change every single page, this would be a good time to use the external.js file. Again, we do the same thing with CSS, and this is for the same reason. If we have JavaScript that we want to take effect on every single page, and let's say we have 20 pages, we could reference this one file, and if something doesn't work, then instead of changing all 20 pages, having to open, edit, save, and then re-upload your pages 20 times, which can be quite a hassle, we can do it with just the one file and save you 20 times the time. To use external JavaScript, we need to insert the script element. Let's take a look at this. We have script, it's inside the head element. I would suggest when you're using external code to always use the script element like this inside of your head. So we have two attributes here that are very important. First, we have our source, and that's important because if we don't specify a source, then our JavaScript is going to think that our code is in between the two elements. So if our file is myjavascript.js, we would type that in here. If it was a folder above, we'd go .. and that means it's one folder up, two folders up. Or if it was a folder beneath us, we could go, directory / myjavascript.js. So this would be your folder or your directory. This would be your file. Next, we have our type. Now, type isn't as important, and as browsers become more and more modern, it seems it doesn't need to be there. However, you have to remember that there are older browsers out there. There are a lot of people in the world that still use Internet Explorer 5 or Internet Explorer 6, and that was a long time ago, and they're not good versions of Internet Explorer, so you do have to help support them as well. By giving them a type with the value of text / JavaScript, you're telling those older browsers that this is going to be a JavaScript and it's written with plain text. So just as a good practice, I would always use the type attribute with this exact value in here. And this is exactly how we reference an external JavaScript file. That's all we have to do.